It's there! Holy moly, this one's going to go big.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. There have been a couple of videos up on the channel recently, basically old footage of me playing fruit machines in the pub from 2012. Now at the end of the second video I said that I thought that was it. I didn't think there was anything more in the archives, nothing more to be found, but if I did dig something up I would make a video about it. Well, I thought I'll just do my due diligence on that. And I went back through my archives. I've got really good sort of data backups going back to like the year 2000 pretty much. You know, sort of 1999, 2000. Like my fruit machine emulation collection is intact from the year 2001 onwards. I've got, you know, photos of Mrs Degsy from like 1994 that I've digitized and kept a digital copy of, that kind of thing. The problem with the fruit machines really, or the fruit machine videos, it's not so much that I'm not good at looking after my data, it's just that this stuff was never really on my radar as data to keep. It never sort of crossed the threshold of being something that was worth preserving. But I talked about that in the previous video where, you know, all of a sudden, you know, 10 years down the line when fruit machines have kind of disappeared and it's all the digi cabinets, this stuff sort of retrospectively becomes interesting. So what I did is I basically spent some time going through my entire data archive using specific search terms, date ranges, targeting where I thought stuff might be, and also doing some pretty wide searches just on sort of media files and that kind of thing that might fit the criteria. And in essence, I have dug up some more footage, some videos and some pictures that were in my archives. We've got some fruit machine videos from the £25, the £35 and the £70 era. I've also got a few pictures as well. So what we'll do is go through them and we'll have a little chat about what it is that they're showing and just have this one last look through the archives, because I do now think, I know I said this last time, but I do now think that this is it, because this is what I turned up after a fairly involved search. I was also doing, you know, scans of like my email archives and all that kind of thing, anything that might turn up some footage or pictures of fruit machines that I have recorded. And there are a few. I don't want to oversell it, that there's not massive stuff here, but there is, you know, that there is footage and videos of some old machines that I played back in the day, and we'll start off with some machines from the £25 jackpot days, and this one will be kicking us off, which is Super Breakout by JPM on a £25 jackpot.
You have to press the breakout, don't you? Can I press that?
Can you press it?
Yeah.
Take my money, man. Take the 25 quid.
Really?
Yeah. Oh. The crowd show their appreciation. Look at that. Big shiny fucking cunt.
So yeah, that was Super Breakout. Not sure there was any need for that language there. And I remember where that was as well. It was in there. It was in the Swan. It's a pub that I've featured on the channel previously. It was in that room specifically, sort of against that wall there. And that was me. Just one random clip I found of me playing Super Breakout on a £25 jackpot out with a couple of friends. I can't entirely remember what I did to get the 25 quid there, because obviously, you know, standard JPM really, it wasn't one that you wanted to be forcing, and I certainly knew that by then. So one way or another I got the 25 quid, and we can see £25 in the bank. Now date wise, we have got a good guide here, because I've done that video on the channel, fruit machine jackpot dates. It was all, if you remember, very much thanks to this guy here, Jason. He's active, this was over on Jackpotty, but he's active now over at Desert Island Fruits and Casino Meister, in fact, where he did all this great work on jackpot dates, where he has got them. There we are. Let's just go down a little bit. You can see they're the ones that we want. So if we're looking at £25 jackpot machines, which is what we have there, £25 jackpot came out in January 2002, replaced with the £35 jackpot in 2007, September 2007. So that gives us a clear date range to when these video clips will be from. I mean, I don't know, I think the date information on these has got lost somewhere. I'm not trusting the properties on the files themselves. If I had to actually put a date, I mean, I don't know, when was Super Breakout around? I don't know, 2003, 2004. I can't imagine it being much later than maybe 2005. But there you go, just one random clip of Super Breakout that I found. Now, the next one that's coming up, this fella here. Now, this is a 6-shooter. Vivid 6-shooter. There is a video on the channel about the Vivid method. And this is on a £25 jackpot. And this is after they'd all started getting chipped. I was pretty sure that this one would be chipped before I started playing it. You'll hear me talk in the video here as I'm recording. And I'd had a couple of others that had been chipped around it. I had a really good run on them in the £15 and the £25 era. They finally started chipping them. So if we have a watch here, what you'll see I'm at is I'm at the point now where it's going to gamble all the way up the cash ladder. So if you remember, you do this, you get your invincible board banked, as it were. Then you gamble up the cash ladder to the jackpot. Then you get the feature, and you should get your saved invincible board. On the chipped ones, you didn't get your inverted commas saved invincible board. So there's the £25 jackpot, and what we're looking for next is the board with the invincible. I'm already pretty sure it's gonna be chipped, and that's the case.
The more they use the soil. When you put it open and open it up.
Here it goes.
We'll soon find out.
Then on a couple of these big stones.
No, that is what you call chipped.
That is indeed what you can call chipped, and you can see there that the follow-on board did not go invincible. You don't get the 3 red hats, so you know that it's chipped. Just for the set, not that it makes any difference to anything whatsoever, but can you see through the window there? I can't quite make out how much petrol is, which is annoying. The quality's too shit. But if you look at that window there, that is actually, it's round the back of the central. So that window that you can see, it's that window there. So if we go back to the video, so you're looking out to the petrol station, and you can see there, that's that window. So the machine is just there against that wall, looking out to that petrol station there. What we had, as I filmed this, I think it's about £1.53 a litre for unleaded. I can't quite. Oh, is that 90.87? I can't quite work it out. But yeah, petrol was a lot cheaper back then, that's for sure. But there is a chipped 6-shooter. They all got chipped around the same time. Once I hit 1 or 2 of them that were chipped, I thought, all right, this will be it then. They're all going to be chipped. And that was the case. They all kind of got done about the same time. Can't really complain. I had a decent run on them. So let's go for the next one. And this is the Global Machine Real Good Time. And this is about the point at which it occurred to me, by the way. And you might not have noticed it, I don't know, but every single machine has actually got sound on it. One thing that happened here, and it seems to have happened across, because all the digi cabinets that I was playing earlier this year when I was across, they were all mute. There's no sound on any of them. And yet, and it's true over here as well, just all the fruit machines, when there were still fruit machines left over here, they were basically all mute. So the digicabs actually over here do have some sound to them, but the traditional fruit machines just all had the volume turned right down, but you can clearly hear the sound and music on 6-shooter there, and you will be able to on this next one as well, which is Real Good Time by Global. And I have got the Mega Street there. Can you hear the sound there? You can hear it clearly. Not super loud, but you can hear The machine's got some volume on it. These ones love to force. There is a video on the channel already about the globals where I kind of talk about them as £50 jackpot machines. Even though the jackpot obviously is 25 quid, these things loved to do a 50. You'd just force them out as long as they weren't on their arse when you got to them. You'd just force them out. The Mega liked to do a 50, or the Jackpot liked to do a repeat, or you get a Jackpot and then a follow-on board Jackpot. One way or another, they liked to do a 50 quid. And you can see here, it's actually not quite managed to do. We've got a £40 Mega Streak, and that is Real Good Time by Global. And we've also got here, I can only assume there was a little bit more in it because you can see the bank there. This is straight follow-on. See there? I just turned my phone around to get the music. A little bit of volume on the machine there. Finished off with a bank of 62, so there might have been a few little bit of afters or a little bit of dribs and drabs on it. And that was a 62 bank on Real Good Time. And not that it makes any difference to anything, but that was in Bar Logo. It was actually against that wall there. I won't go too much into this because I have covered this before. There is a video on the channel called The Death of the Fruit Machine where I go round the pubs of Ramsey and talk about how they all got turned into the random 500s over the years. But back in the £25 days, there were still fruit machines in there. And I do have footage of another one from in there as well. This was literally right next to Real Good Time, was this one here, which was Bat Outta Hell. Another global, same kind of thing. Basically, you just forced it out and hoped that it would do a 50. On the £25 jackpot, as long as it wasn't obviously mugging you off with £2 boards and £3 boards when you started playing it, you generally couldn't go too far wrong with these on a force. And you just hope to get the 50 quid out of it. I have heard talk about these Bat Outta Hells being able to go bigger. Now, I don't remember ever getting anything too mega out of these things myself. You can see that was just a flat 25, but it had another 25 and that's straight follow on, and another 25 in it straight after. That was about it for me. I only really remember these doing 50s. I heard talk about them being able to go bigger, and in the emulator I have had this do 100, which I didn't think the globals could do. Now maybe it's a different chip that we've got emulated, but I was very, very surprised. First of all, it went on a really harsh suck phase, which I thought, this is not like the globals to take this much on the fours. But when it finally toppled, it went for 100, which I never had on the real one. So just a little bit of a curiosity there, but you can see what happened there. I got a 25, I got a follow on board for another 25, and that made the 50 bank, and that was right next to the Real Good Time in Bar Logo. I used to like going in there because they were both, it was a nice enough place, get a nice drink in there, and they were reasonably gentle machines to play. And if you had a few beers, it didn't really matter because you didn't particularly need to have your wits about you for those either. Now this one here is more of a case of trying to identify the fruit machines. This is when, there you see them there, this is when me and Mrs Degsy were out for a few beers together, and I just grabbed a video clip. And what we're going to do here is play Identify the Fruit Machines. We don't get another look at them there. We've got the Dandy Warhols on there. Well, me and Mrs Degsy are a fan of the Dandy Warhols. We don't really get to see, remember them touchscreen jukebox on the wall there? So the Isle of Man had got itself well and truly into the 21st century there with jukebox technology. As you can see, we are clearly playing a game of pool. Looks like someone's about to win there. But let's go back to that bit where we can see the machines, because the interesting thing here, oh my god, the quality of the phone is so bad. It's like 2 or 3 frames a second. That's probably about as clear as it gets there. Now, that one on the right, I think, is pretty easy. That is Top Gears by Barcrest. You can see the 3 circles there, which represent the different size of gears. You've got your obvious stacks going up the right-hand side there. You can also see that's the little Barcrest logo on the front of the cab. So that is Top Gears. That's a £25 Jackpot Barcrest. It is also emulated. You can play it in the emulator. I think there were a couple of little things you could do on it. I found them very flat profile. The £25 Barcrests around this era, I found very flat profile. They were usually safe enough to force, and you generally wouldn't lose much, but you tended not to win very much either. That one there is Top Gears. The one next to it, for me, is perhaps the more interesting of the pair. And if you're not recognising it, it's because it's not a machine that you would expect to see next to a £25 Jackpot AWP, certainly in the UK. But here on the Isle of Man, it was a thing. Now, what I'll do, I'll just see if we can get that there. That is, and I've looked at this, I'm actually pretty happy that is a Fortune 500. You can see there we've got our 3 7 wins there, our 4 7 wins. There's all your 20 win lines. You've got those sort of revolver, sort of gun barrel things with the win lines. You can see that's the Fortune 500 logo. If we just, I mean, it doesn't help much to see it move. Just think Fortune 500 in your head. That is a Fortune 500. Now, the interesting thing about that for me is that gives us a very clear date and indeed proof of when these things first turned up on the Isle of Man. Because I've talked in the past about how I was pretty sure that we first got random 500s in the pub in the £25 Jackpot era. That was how I remembered it, and I thought, yeah, I think that's right. But ultimately, there was a little bit of educated guesswork there because I didn't have, if you will, any evidence. I didn't have any proof that was the case. But what we can see here quite clearly is a Fortune 500 next to a £25 jackpot. You can actually see the 25 quite clearly there, remarkably, on the shit footage. So that tells us that these random 500s were indeed, they were sort of trialled. I remember they gave them a go and they didn't really catch on in the £25 era. Like, that thing got yanked and they ended up back on 2 fruit machines again because they didn't really catch on in the £25 era. They tried again with them in the £35 era, and then it was in the £70 era that the random 500s really took off here and really started to kill the traditional fruit machine. Also, that was when we first got the first digital cabinets with the screens on them, Empire's Ocean's 11 and Nighttime, and then we got some of the earlier Blueprint cabs and all the rest of it. But that was quite interesting for me because we can see there absolutely clearly a random 500 sighted next to a machine in a pub in the £25 jackpot era. Now, this next one is a little bit more of an identify the fruit machine. There are 2 fruit machines coming up. One of them, the one on the right, we're pretty sure is a Paycheck by Red. The one next to it, I can't identify. We've got 3 clips here where you can see, this is me and Mrs Degsy out playing pool together. So the one on the right that's going to come into shot here, I'm pretty sure that's a red. You can see the green and red lights on the feature wheel thing. And you can see the lights at the top. Pretty sure that's a Paycheck. It's the machine next to it that's giving me trouble, because it's got a blue and a red trail on it. So you can see the same machine again, same 2 machines. Only, the video quality is so bad. You can definitely see, though, we've got red lines there. Not red lines, red lights, rather. So if we go back again, we can just see. Can you work out what that bloody machine is on the left there? And you'll see in a second, it's got a blue and red trail on it. But I got in my head that it's a bell fruit. Now, we get another look at them here. Not a very good look, admittedly, but they just come into shot. Briefly, can you see him there? The one on the right is pretty easy. I think that's Paycheck by Red. Oh, that one on the left. What the bloody hell is that? And here we are. This is possibly the best view you get. You can very clearly see them when they come in here. You can see the blue and red trail changing. Can you see there? We've got blue and we've got red. I've got it in my head that's a BFM, but I can't really work out what it is. Let's just go back. See, yeah, so your guess there is as good as mine. Hopefully we can get this one bottomed out over at Desert Island Fruit, but it's that machine. I almost want to... Oh, dear. Don't know. Would like to know what that one is. Those ones, by the way, were in the Brit. You can actually see, if you look at the pool table, there's the pool table. And there's that window there. There's the window. That window there and that pool table is actually that window there. And you can even see the green of the pool table. Britannia's it's still there. The building's still there. It's not been a pub for a few years now. And the fruit machines were against the back wall. And not against that wall, but against the wall on the other side of the room. Used to be one of our favourite pubs, that. But yeah, that was a casualty quite a few years ago. And now we're jumping forward to the £35 era. And this is the only video, the only one I can find of a £35 jackpot AWP. You can see here it's Warped. It's a Betcom, but before they were called Betcom, I can't remember what the name was that they used to have on the cab. You can see it's a Betcom. Everything about it is Betcom, the board, the cash trail, the reels, and you'll even see at the end of the Warped Mega Street curve, same play, you just forced it out for a red top. They loved to do a 70 these, had so many 70s out of these, which they really did like to do. And you see there when the Mega Streak finishes, you get these exactly the same. That's your lot. I don't quite know why this is the one and only footage I have got of a Warped, or rather of a £35 jackpot machine, which is Warped. Just one little thing all by itself there that is in the archives. And unfortunately, it's a flat 35, which is a bit of a shame. Like I say, these love to do a 70, and couldn't they do a 105 as well? Don't know, but certainly the 70 was a very, very common result on these. And there didn't seem to be that many people round here forcing them out, but that is it. That is the only proof I have that the £35 jackpot ever existed, I'm afraid. And we'll just go back a little bit here to the £25 era. This is Wildfire, some terrible video quality here. I think this was an even earlier phone. And obviously I saw fit to gather this here. It was an impulse, it was a £25 jackpot. You just forced it out. We all know how these impulses were. And you can see there, I've ended up with a nice big bank. I'm not entirely sure how I ended up with that bank specifically. You can see I've ended up with an 85 bank, which it's auto-paid down to 75. Maybe there was something weird going on there with previous... I auto-paid down to 60. They could do the £25 impulses. Obviously, they could go flat, but then they could do anything between 50 and 100. The £25 impulses... They could do 100 on a £25 jackpot. I had it once on a grid runner. I've got no footage of that one. I did have a grid runner once do a £25 jackpot and 3 straight repeats for £100. And this is another ancient one. This must be from 2003 or 2004. This is Mortal Wombat. There's a couple of videos on the channel already about Mortal Wombat. This is the one that had the jackpot steal on it, whereby you could get it to give you nudges for the jackpot that it didn't want to. Also had the double jackpot if you could get the super hold rip, but the super hold rip was only ever a one-time and only deal. And then you just had the jackpot rip after that. This was one, you could do this twice in the same evening. I used to do this twice in the same evening. If we were out on a Friday or a Saturday, we'd go here first. I'd get the 25 quid out, we'd do the rest of the pubs, and then we'd come back to this sort of later on, maybe, getting on to last orders. And it had usually had some play, and you could get another cheap jackpot out of it. That was back in the days when the fruit machines were still getting planned. Look at the terrible, that's what video used to look like. I mean, going back to 2003, 2004 here. Oh, 25, that was all you got. You got a single jackpot on these if the soup hold rip wasn't there. But yeah, I mean, 2003, 2004, that is what phone video looked like. I mean, the first iPhone didn't come out until 2007. Not entirely sure what phone I had there, but yeah, that was about what video looked like in you know, like I say, 2003, 4, 5. That was what your phone was recording. And then coming all the way forward to 2011, I've got this one as December 2011, and you can get some cheesy Christmas music in the background at one point. This is a Think Red. This was in the Swan. I had some good results out of this. I don't know why. I'm not quite sure. And it liked to do a go all the way, this one. I don't know if this one was more go all the way prone than other DOMs or whatever, because I couldn't read the boxes, so taking the game was always a little bit sketchy for me, but I found that these were often quite willing to do go all the ways. Again, can you hear we've got sound on the machine? You can definitely hear that. So we've got in the £70 area here, we've got a fruit machine with sound on it, but that's not a thing anymore. Everything just seems to be mute now. Certainly if you watch Hyperlinks' videos, you know, from 4 or 5 years ago when he's out in the pub, the fruit machines have never got any sound on them. There is our favourite, the go all the way into the Mega Streak. Oh, yeah, bugger, yeah, only a flash. Was that Mariah Carey? Was that some bloody Mariah Carey song in the background there? But that December 2011, you can see that's what I actually called it, just to remind myself of what date this is from. And that, I'm afraid, kind of wraps it up on the video front. There wasn't much in there. Like I say, this is not something that I've ever made a deliberate effort to save. So it was almost what I could just incidentally find in amongst other things. So what we have covered just about, because there was only that one short video of the £35 jackpot machine, but we have got £25, £35 and £70 jackpot machines there. And if we have a look back at our jackpot dates threads, or video rather, can you see there that for a £15 jackpot, you'd be back in 2001 or earlier. And I do not believe mobile phones were recording video in 2001. Or if they were, I mean, you could see there the quality was awful. So if they were recording even proto-video earlier than 2002, it would have been utterly unwatchable. But like I say, we've had a £25, we've had a £35, and we've had £70 videos there. But I do have a few pictures as well. So even though we got no more videos, we do have some pictures. So I'll show you that. That there is a Safecracker by Red. Got a date on that machine there as well, 2011. Got a nice big bank of 130 quid. I really like those. There was Hot and Safecracker are the two that I'm aware of. They were very, very distinctive cabinets. They had these 5 reels going on. There was 5 win lines, so technically speaking, that win is 50 quid, but that's also what it showed you for a jackpot. And you forced them out, didn't you? The idea was, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but you try and play when the cash pot was quite high, because the cash pot was mostly free. And then I think you'd force out the cash pot first. The cash pot wouldn't knock it back too much. I think, was it what the cash pot reseeded to was what it had cost you? So after a cash pot, it shouldn't knock it back too much, and then you could just force it out for the top. See there, I've got a 130 bank. I had quite a few decent results on these Safecrackers. And also there was a clone of it called, this is the Hot. Now, this is not after a force though, because there was one other thing on these that a guy told me about. Can you see there? So Safecracker, unfortunately, I've only got the one picture of Safecracker, which is that one. But you can imagine it's basically the same machine as Hot, but with more of a silvery, safey type theme. And these are safes rather than like your devilly flaming thing that you've got going on here. But what you can see here is, can you see that feature? Reels on fire. Now, it was a guy who put me onto this. So if these things are not playing right, you're not going to force them. If the cash pot's low, you can see here the cash pot's only £29.65. What he said was, if the cash pot's not looking good and you're not going to force it, go for Reels on fire. And what he said is that there's a way that you can slow it down and get each of the reels to go at a slow speed, because it's kind of like a reel match, but they can go at 3 different speeds. I think there was a very particular order and something you had to do. And honestly, I can't remember the details of it, but you could do that there and you could get yourself a doable reel match, even for me, on each of the 5 reels. And you had to I think you had to do it in a particular way because it stopped as soon as you got a win or something. But anyway, basically you could pinch 50 quid, which is what you can see there. You could pinch 50 quid off the machine when it wasn't wanting to really pay. And that's what you can see there, is I've got it off that Reels of Fire or Reels on Fire feature. It was a £50 steal that you could do if you weren't going to force the machine. It was like something... So rather than just like a wasted machine, you know, it's like when you go into a pub and a machine just isn't worth playing. Even if you look at that, you say, oh, fucking hell, cash pot's not even 30 quid, no point. You just try 10 or 20 quid and see if you could get Reels on Fire, because you could steal 50 off that. Another one I've got here is that Desert Island deal. Now, this one was chipped. This had the method that I've shown on the channel had been chipped out of this one. But this is basically the only Dond I ever kind of got competent enough to kind of read the boxes on. And I could read the boxes on this pretty well, and it dual staked as well. So if it was gaming, you could take out a decent deal on the £1 stake, then knock it down to 50p, take out a decent game on that, and then there was maybe some other bits and pieces as well. You can see that. I saw fit to take a picture of that anyway. That was £171 bank. That was a reasonable earner, that one. I didn't do too bad on that one. Like I say, I could read maybe half, 2/3 of the boxes, which was enough to give you a little bit of a leg up. It is emulated, an earlier chip, because the proper rip works in the emulator. And that is, there's a video on that of the channel already. Got another picture here of one that I took, which is, you can see there. That's Red Hi-Ho Silver. I've talked before about we just got loads of reds turned up on a £70 jackpot. They turned up en masse, loads of them all over the place. I was quite happy because you could force them out, and certainly early on it didn't really seem like other people were forcing them. It felt like I had them to myself for a bit. Did die down a bit towards the end, but I got a decent period of time on these forcing them out. And on that we do have just a short video of just some random red here. Which one is this? It's not Hi-Ho Silver. What is it? I can't quite work out which one it is. Oh, what's that little guy there? That should give it away, shouldn't it? Anyway, one of the reds, they all seem slightly interchangeable to me, I've got to be honest with you. I think you can hear me saying there something to the effect of, it's just money back. Not happy with that one, but once more again, just for the record, I'll shut up. Just listen, you can hear the machine has got some volume on it. Just trying to remember when it was that machines stopped having sound on them. Unusual thing, but there you go. That again, that's just this random, slightly random, for no apparent reason video I've got of a red. And on that note, got a picture as well that's from the Brit, the pub that I showed you before. That was an unchipped £25 pie factory and a chipped Italian job where the crossfire thing didn't work, but we had the Vivids on 15 and 25 unchipped. And then they finally got chipped up on the £25 jackpot. But that one there was still unchipped at that moment in time. There was quite a few of them around. I have mentioned before how I travelled for these. These were such good earners that I would travel around and find these and look for them. I'd go out on my lunch break and try and find them. Obviously, there were loads of them. They weren't just pie factories. There were loads of them. They all basically played the same, and they were very, very popular, so there was some decent money to be made out of those. So there you go, folks. I do think that is it this time. I know I said that last time, that I didn't think there was anything else, but now I've done a proper kind of search. I can't imagine now there's going to be anything else to pull out the archives, because I've done, like I said, I've done a kind of deep search on pretty much everything that I've got, and I can't think of any pools of data that might be around the place. But we've had a little bit of something else to look at there, a little bit of history from the £25, £35 and £70 days. What I will leave you with is I also found a clip of me walking home very late at night, obviously a bit pissed, and I found myself transfixed in the middle of an empty kind of road. I think it was like 1 a.m. or something. There was nobody else, no cars around, nobody else around, and for some reason I saw fit to film a little incidental monologue with a telephone box. I mean, that's a thing that's got, I don't know what it's like in the UK, but over here on the Isle of Man now, the phone boxes, what phone boxes physically remain, don't have phones in them, and the phone boxes themselves have often been taken away as well, because who needs a bloody payphone here in the year 2023? But when this was recorded, which I think, I'm going to put this as 2003, 2004, I decided to have a little chat in and around this phone box. So I'll leave you there for that one. I found everything that I can, so I hope it was something that was just a little bit of fun to watch there. Do hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will catch up with you next time. But for now it is goodbye.
This is our phone box. Our phone box flashes like the gates of motherfucking hell. What do you do in here? Would this be a good place to wait for the end? Wait for the fucking end. Yeah, flashing light, motherfucker. Flashing light. Fucking sad cunt. Flash. See the cunt flash. Fucking flashing cunt.